and welcome to CRE with CBC Worldwide Podcast. My name is Ashley Wilson, and this is the Market Tales Podcast. Today, I am joined by Cathy Fox from Phoenix, Arizona. How you doing, Cathy?
Fantastic. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And
Thanks for
I get
inviting
to,
me.
of course, I get to meet you in person next week at Global Conference too. So
Yes,
it'll be
absolutely.
really
I'm
fun.
excited.
Yeah.
hmm
Well, let's just go ahead and dive into it. Tell me your story and how you got into commercial real estate.
Well, I did not get into real estate itself until about my midlife. So around 35 years old, I decided to switch careers. Some things happened in my life, and it was an opportunity for me to kind of dive into whatever I wanted to do. And I found real estate very interesting. So I started out in the Midwest. I'm not originally from Phoenix. A lot of people are not from Phoenix. Um, but I started in the Midwest and ended up at a Coldwell Banker affiliate up there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So as I was practicing up there, I was able to get into some historic buildings and started dabbling in commercial in about 2012. So I did a few commercial transaction and I caught the bug and I really, really loved the commercial. So um, I really enjoyed that and I built a team there. I also went and got my CCIM accreditation so that I could have some more power behind me. And being a woman in the commercial world, as everybody knows, we're pretty rare. There's a lot more of us now today, which is awesome. But I had a lot of the good old boys club stuff going on, and had to work my way through that too. So that and about 22 actually is kind of an interesting story. Dan Spiegel had come up because my broker had a big office building for sale. So we were giving tours and I was helping giving tours of the office building. And my children and grandchildren live in the Phoenix area in Arizona. And I had missed them for about 10 years. They've been living here. So I went downstairs and I talked to Dan and I said, Dan, when are you going to open up a branch or a commercial office in Phoenix? And he said, we just did. Let me hook you up. So that's how that started. That's how I got to Phoenix. So I was happy to stay with the brand. I was so happy that Coldwell Banker Commercial was opening a brand because I was already used to all the tools and I knew what all of the benefits of being part of this brand already because I was selling it to all my other clients. So it's been a really great opportunity and I've had a lot of fun, met a lot of people and learned a lot of things, both in my little tertiary market, bringing that knowledge to Phoenix. So the experience was great, but also being able to take that knowledge and share it back to my tertiary market. So I do have one corporate client in the Midwest that I still work with. They hire me and only me. So I have a corporate client up like I said, in the Midwest that I really love to work with. Otherwise, all my business here is in Phoenix, uh, and started building a team here too. So I have the Fox Burks team here. So that's kind of how I got started. I got really excited about it and I really loved it and I just kept growing.
Good for you, finding something that you're passionate about and like, all right, we're doing this. Let's keep going. Uh, so you were in Wisconsin. So were you with River Valley?
Yes, with River Valley
Nice.
Realty. You know Damon with Damon. I was actually there before Damon was.
Oh,
So
no way.
I was their number one agent there in 2008 when they opened the doors and that was residential they opened up and
Yeah.
then they did add the commercial component.
Yeah.
And then I was the number one agent here too in Phoenix when Leo started here.
Yeah.
I was the first agent on board. So it's kind of fun. I guess I like to be first.
Yeah. Good for you for being first and paving that way as a woman. So props to you.
Yes.
Yeah. Damon was on the podcast like a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah. I listened
And
to his too. Yeah, that
yeah,
was awesome.
oh, that was really good. Oh, well, what a great trip from going from Wisconsin to
Mhm.
Phoenix, dealing with that humidity and the snow to
Yes.
dry and hot. So,
Yes, it's snowing there today and it's 80
oh.
degrees here today. So in Phoenix. So I love it. I love it. I'm like, hey, here guys, this is what I got. They send me pictures of snow. I send them pictures of the desert.
That's great.
Uh-huh.
I was in Phoenix, in Scottsdale a couple years ago for our some Elite Top 2 trip.
Right.
And it had been years since I've been out in Phoenix. It was beautiful. And I'm in North Carolina where it's really humid, so I had to adjust to that.
Mm.
that dry heat. It was a
Yes.
continuing joke throughout the trip of it's a dry heat.
Yes, some people believe it, some people don't, but it is a dry heat. It is a little
Mm,
different, but you
mm,
get acclimated once you live here for a
yeah.
while.
Yeah. And I remember when we opened that office in Phoenix because that was the first global conference that I met Leo at. He was sitting by
Mhm.
himself, and I just sat down at
Right.
the table and he told me all about it. And he had also moved down from the Chicago area, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
we're competitors,
did y'all
so,
know each other in Chicago?
athletic-wise. No, we did not, but we as far as, the football teams,
Yeah.
the baseball teams, we're always scrubbing each other. So it's really fun to have somebody from the Midwest
Yeah.
because we understand each other and
Yeah.
we have that same mentality. So it was very easy to make the
Good.
transition. And Leo was just fantastic
Mm,
personality-wise. I mean,
yeah.
he's so amazing.
He is. He's great. He'll bust your chops though for sure. He
Yeah,
does it to me
he's
all the
good.
time. Yeah. So going from market to market, did that have an impact on your specialty? Or do you consider yourself to have a specialty?
It did.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a specialty in lacrosse because you couldn't really do that. And I actually did a combination of both residential and commercial. But I built a residential team so I could just do commercial but still make money on the residential side. And then when I moved to Phoenix, I did start as a generalist, but I also wanted to concentrate in the East Valley. So Phoenix is it's very big, very big. It almost has 5 million people in the whole Maricopa County in the greater Phoenix area. It's called. There's an East Valley and a West Valley. And I live in the East Valley. My team member lives, Candace, she lives in the West Valley. So you are able to cover the whole county. But again, in the beginning, I started out as a generalist because I wanted to learn about things. So typically that's tenants. So I was doing tenant leases. I've got a couple franchise clients that I still work with, and then industrial. But industrial was a lot of fun. So industrial is my favorite. I also love land, but there's a lot to learn about land in Arizona. The Arizona zoning is way different. How I started my business in Wisconsin and making connections was always to connect with economic development, which was really easy to do. And here it is too, but there's 22 cities in this in Maricopa County. So to connect with all the different economic development people is different. And the cities run similar, but there's still some different changes. Lots more zoning here than I've ever seen anywhere. But again, I'm coming from a smaller market. It's just it's different and it's exciting and it's just growing so fast here in Phoenix. Also, just again, going back to the warehouse and the industrial, that is like my favorite. I love to see all this industrial buildup and it's really cool to get inside those buildings. Although I also do retail, and we do some office, more headquarter office type of thing. So more medium to high end. And the office market is not is probably the least hot market across the nation, but here Class A is very popular. So we're Class A is leasing out um very easily. I don't know the best way to say that. So yeah, it's not hard to get Class A. Some of the smaller stuff is a little bit harder.
Mhm. What do you think that is? That it's class
Um
A in high demand?
The amenities that come with the Class A and what they are really retrofitting these buildings to look like, they're going inside some of these original buildings and then just gutting them and just putting in like a coffee shop and some of those amenities, but also lots of conference room and meeting areas and a lot of places open in the Phoenix Camelback corridor or in Scottsdale. It's very important to have either a like a we're in a Paradise Valley is one of the offices I'm in to have the upper end income and offices in those area. One in Scottsdale, one here in Paradise Valley, which is right off the Camelback Corridor in the Biltmore area. So again, all this was foreign to me too when I first started. But it's a lot of people want to be downtown in Phoenix in their headquarters and Tempe close to the airport. So that's kind of the East Valley that we cover. But both the East, there's nowhere to go more inside of Phoenix. You got to go either East or West. So the East Valley and the West Valley are just exploding. And fortunately, Arizona has always been collecting money for the roads. So they have these plans to have these highways come in. And so they have been building and reconstructing and expanding all the highways continuously Still not sure if they're keeping up, but at least they have the forethought to plan that ahead of time. There is just a lot of things going on. It's almost it's very overwhelming because there's just growth in every direction and it's big, huge companies coming here um, from all over the world.
N Nice. I remember when we had a speaker, they were talking about the infrastructure of Phoenix and surrounding areas and issues with the power grids because of the heat. Are you familiar with it? Yeah, is that so it's just can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Sure. So with the power grids, that there's a couple of power companies here, and they have been expanding, and they have had in their future. They Arizona has really been watching because Arizona is also known for their water or the idea that there might be lack of water as well as lack of power. But we have been working on the state of Arizona has been working on a lot of the power grids and expanding. There's a lot of substations all over the place. They're using battery power, some battery power generation, and a lot of solar generation out in the outside the Phoenix area. There's a lot of that going on. Um, and so they are building there's always something in the news about what SRP is one of the electric producers and APS is another one. And then plus there's smaller ones, but they all are all expanding, putting in substations. We are getting we started getting a demand for data centers. So we had an influx of 5 or 6, like even in one city in Mesa has 5 or 6 of them. And now the cities are starting to put parameters on where they can go and where they could be because they're big and there's a little bit of a noise factor and there's also water and power factor. So some of the power isn't there yet, but they're able to get the power there and tell us when they're going to be able to get the power. So they might start out with 230 kilowatts and maybe that's not the right word, but they'll start out with a smaller normal amount. Um, and be able to tell us in how many years you're gonna be able to ramp up or what gets added to that power every year, um, moving forward, because that's what the data centers need also to know. A lot of them are putting on the brakes because 'cause they're not sure of the power here in Arizona. So, we've got a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of power that's coming here, and they are preparing for it. They're talking about nuclear as well, so little nuclear plants, just tiny little pop-up plants. I live really close to the LG plant that's in the East Valley. That's one of the not the biggest one. TSMC is the biggest one in the West Valley, but the smaller LG plant here, and I believe they're starting to use. They have a little bit of nuclear that they're using that for power too. So we have a lot of land in Arizona. There's a lot of state land. There's a lot of um, land. We still have a lot of land, but you have to get outside the city.
Yeah, and a good bit of that land is protected land, but, like
Yes.
you said,
Oh,
you're
there's a
having
lot
to
of tribal land. Yeah, there's
right.
tribal land too that we don't that is different. So that's a whole different animal too. That was something new for me to work with. Tribal land is lease land only. So if you want to build a shopping center on it, you're leasing the land for however many years, 99 years or whatever that might be. So it's different. There's a lot of different things in Arizona than the Midwest besides the weather.
Yeah. So, having to, like, almost, like, rebuild yourself in Phoenix when you made that switch, what do you think made that a success? Like, what did you decide to do to be like, "Okay, I need to learn this market." So can you tell me a story about a time that you had success and what you think led to it?
Well, I've got a couple of great success stories. But when I first came to the market, it was um being new, normally I just pick up the phone and make a phone call and say, "Hey, I have a client I want to show this property." Um, and I wasn't getting return calls. So I had to segue and like, how do I get a hold of these brokers? I need to get into these properties. And most of the brokerages in Phoenix are more boutique commercial brokerages, not the bigger brokerages. So I started sending them an email with my signature line, which said CCIM on the end of it. So I would call them and say, "Hey, I just sent you an email. I have a client that's looking for a property. We'd like to put yours on the list." And they're like, "Hold on a minute." They'd pull up my email, like, "Oh, Kathy." So they didn't know me. So now they know me. So that's how I got in the door to begin with. I just had to figure out how to connect with these other commercial brokers. So the CCIM really helped show my credibility. And then just introducing Coldwell Banker commercial back into Phoenix too was also one of those things, because a lot of those boutique agencies did not know of or remember that Coldwell Banker had a commercial arm. We have a huge residential presence, and that's where a lot of my first referrals came from, was our residential side, which really helped me get out there and learn the lay of the land and drive around and understand what was going on. Also, global conference, Leo and I, and he might have met this gentleman first, but we got a referral from I had a company in Texas that had gotten a job through TSMC. So they were hired by TSMC to do a service. They needed a place. So I found them a warehouse. They needed a warehouse industrial space. So I found them a space pretty quickly, because they needed it quickly, because they had to get to TSMC and do their thing. After we got him that, about a year and a half later, he called and he said, "We need to be closer. We need to be up north in the Deer Valley market," which was very old market, just starting to build up new warehouses. There was nothing like that had any warehouses that were above 12 foot tall. They were just really old buildings. And one came up, and because I kept looking every single day, and he was really patient with me. I'm like, okay, I think I found one. Like, this is the perfect one. There was two or three of them. One of them was gone already. By the time I called him and called back, we had three on the plate. We went and looked at uh, two of them. He wasn't there personally, but one of his reps came and we looked at two of them, and one of them was perfect. So I found out that day from that broker that showed us the property that he had 7 showings that day. And I said, okay, great. So I went back to my client. I said, we got to write an offer. Like, no letter of intent to purchase. We just got to go right to offer. I need a letter from your lender. And I knew he would work fast because he did the first time. I knew that he could get us the stuff. But when I called the broker back, um, I said, we're going to write an offer. What kind of form do you guys use? What do you want to see it on? So in Phoenix, is kind of the wild, wild west. Everybody has their own kind of forms. Usually they're all attorney written, but we usually have our own set of forms. So he told me what he used, and I used that form, and I filled it out, and we made it good. We sent it off, and we got our offer accepted, like, the morning that somebody else called and said, "Oh, yeah, we toured it too. We want to write an offer." So really, within 2.5 days, we got our offer accepted, before anybody else even thought to come back at it. And there was just no inventory. And I was also able to compare it to the one that we lost out on, and it was in way worse shape and not at all what it proposed to be on the flyer. So I was really excited. And then to cap things off, I met the appraiser there when the appraiser went through. And he's like, "Yeah, there was a deal a couple months ago on this and it fell apart." And I had not known that. He goes, "I'm going to have a hard time coming up with this price." And I said, "Well, here's a comp right down the road. Just went under contract." So I handed him that, and we flew through the appraisal process. And so just being on top of it and making sure that my client got what he wanted, understanding the market. That market up there is so tight, and they're trying to build as fast as they can up there. But all that new build stuff is expensive. And this wasn't that old. It was built in 2019. So it was a really, really nice building, and it fit what they were looking for. So that's one of my success stories. And then as I started my team and started growing, here we started. I love using our tool build out. That's one of my favorite tools. It takes a lot of time, but it works slick. It's just so great. So we've been doing proposals. We've been getting calls off of our listings to come look at other properties to list. And we do a proposal, and we do a market analysis, and then we meet with our clients, and we have not lost a a listing presentation. And we're always in competition. They're always telling us we're in competition. So we do the work kind of upfront, and make sure that we have some comps for them. I don't just do sold comps. I do for sale comps, because things sell so fast here that by the time it closes 3 months later, the listings that are out there are more expensive. So we have to be competitive with stuff that is for sale, because that's also a judge of the market, not just sold. So they really appreciate that. And then we give them information on us and how we work. And of course, a lot of that includes the CBC, you know, collateral that we're given, that we can use to kind of promote us as a global company. So we we kind of win all the way around. We really get in there, and I've been with Coldwell Banker since 2008. So almost 20 years. So 18 years and then, commercial since 2012. So I know the system and I mean, I know the tools and I try to use them as much as possible. And then another shout out for Jane and Charlie. They're awesome. I can't wait to see them at the global conference. I love meeting up with them every year.
Yeah, I love that, their names get dropped almost every single episode, and and I feel like I should have them on an episode just for that
Yes,
purpose.
I
They
think
are
you should.
fantastic, and we used to joke around that, they were the best kept secret, but it's just people just don't realize how valuable they are and what they can
Mhm.
really do for you. I mean, they have so much data that they have access to. It's unreal,
Right.
and they'll sit down and talk you through it too. So, um,
Yes.
I love those are 2 wonderful stories, especially that connection that you made at Global Conference. Because we always say, "Go to Global
Yes.
Conference, you'll meet someone that will have some kind of lead that will turn into a transaction." Like, it go to Global Conference will pay for itself somehow.
Yes.
Um, I love that one,
And it's
and I
just
now
great to connect with everybody there too. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a kinda it's a family, We're all
it
looking
is.
forward to seeing each other and connecting, um, and that CCIM piece is really strong because we do have a partnership with them, and for
Yes.
you to say that having your CCIM is actually what helped you break into your new market, and to already have that trust established with
Hmm.
clients and other brokers.
Right. That it was very helpful. And it's just, and I'm also on the board for the Arizona chapter too. So I just love being involved. So I like to be involved in the community and anywhere that we can as a team, we try to participate.
Great, I love that. Um, well, our next question is about going back kind of to your market. So, based on your knowledge, your expertise, and everything that you're seeing trending right now in that Phoenix area, what do you think is going to happen the next 18 to 24 months?
We're going to continue to grow. The economy is always it's not really the economy, like what's going on nationally and globally always does have some effect on us. But still, we've been even through the beginning of the tariff thing. Now that the tariffs are not any longer, whatever's going on with that, um, still we had our 18% of our international people come from Canada. Move to Phoenix from Canada. 25% is our total international group of people that come here. So 25% of our businesses that are growing here or expanding here or coming here are international businesses. The rest is from different states, California being the number one state that they come from. Um, inside the United States. So we're continuing to grow. We have land. So we're able to continue to grow and build, and we are building. The Some of these cities are like, I live right outside of Queen Creek, and it's only been a town for 15 years, and where I live in Santan Valley was just incorporated 6 months ago, and it has 100,000 people in it. So it's really crazy how quickly we're growing. And so the the retail and the office, medical office is also very hot. So retail, medical office, and in a place like the Queen Creeks, and then on the West Valley, the Buckeyes that are newer that have been just kind of sitting there for a while, way outside of Phoenix, that now are getting all this growth. They don't have any services there. They don't have the offices. They don't have the insurance agents, the real estate offices. Here in the Queen Creek, we have no real estate offices. Um, unless they've been here for a long time. There's just no new office, no new retail, and now they're actually building that. So we're starting to see some retail, medical office pop up. A lot of home building. So on the key corners, there's all new retail going up, and I cannot believe how quickly they fill up. I have had to do. I work with one of a dog grooming franchise, and the last two leases we signed were 18 months before it was complete. Like, we had to do it before the ground was even it still was a field. It still had stuff growing on it, cotton growing on it or whatever. So, we are growing and we're gonna continue to grow. I don't see a slowdown. I think the next, 18 to 24 months are gonna continue to be, um, very steady growth, and hopefully we can stay on top of that. But what I am seeing is we're signing leases 18 months out. like for anything just about. So any clients that we're looking at, they're going into new retail. It's expensive though. So we do have some challenges with that. We have challenges with the mom and pops aren't able to get into some of these, or startups are really difficult unless I can find a landlord that only owns a few shopping centers. They really don't want to lease to. Some of them will take a chance on a startup, but most of them want a franchise. So we have to do a lot of counseling with startups, get them started with a business plan, or get them in touch with, some of the resources we have in Phoenix to help them be able to get to the point where they can actually lease a space, because they just don't have any idea. They have this great idea, but then they have no idea about the rest. So, I mean, industrial is going to continue to grow. Medical office is growing. Healthcare and light manufacturing are like our number one and two going on in the Phoenix area, like growing in the Phoenix area. So,
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're going to be really busy too,
yes.
keeping up with the growth. Uh, I would love for you to share with any woman, whether it's one of the women of the CBC network or just any woman that is looking to break into commercial real estate. What is your advice to them?
I would say you want to find a mentor. You want to find somebody to mentor you through it. It is difficult. It takes a while to get. Commercial is just completely different from residential too. And it's great as a woman if you just want to do commercial and you don't do residential first. You don't have to do residential real estate. That's not a prerequisite for commercial. And it's actually almost better if you don't, because it's two separate set of rules. So, but with commercial, you need somebody to kind of show you the ropes and understand the language and just understand how to find these properties for your clients. A lot of us who've gotten into the business, we were service oriented. So we're into relationship building, we're into giving really good service. It's just, how do we find the product for our clients? In our market, we have to do more than look online because it's already gone typically. Like I said, we're signing leases before it's even breaking ground. So just know who to talk to and how to move forward. But having a mentor, I think, is really, really important, because there are no two transactions the same. There's no two clients the same, no two landlords the same. So having a mentor, I think, is really important. And then learning as much as you can. There's so much online. And I know with Coldwell Banker Commercial, we have the commercial university. That's great. Anything you can do to learn, as much as you can, but still having that mentor and being able to work with someone I think is really, really important.
Did you have a mentor?
I did have a mentor, when I was in Wisconsin, and then here, Leo is definitely my mentor, because coming from a big city and me a smaller city, and we have different, our rules, our state rules are different, and we know each other's state's rules up there, so we were able to connect that way too and understand where he was coming from or what I was coming from, and what we like about certain things. So again, in Phoenix, a lot of our contracts are attorney written, but they're very general. So you have to really modify them to cover your clients. So just all the things that you need to do and know, and how to build those relationships. And there is just a ton of things to do in Phoenix too, which is also overwhelming. There you could go to an event tonight and still not go to all the events. So just choosing wisely and kind of getting into the group of people, maybe figuring out what you like to do too once you get into the business. And that's kind of what my team did, and we decided we like, um, buyers and sellers the best. Tenants are great, but again, sometimes those take a little bit more time, and a little bit more digging and a little bit more hand holding. So,
All right, last question. Um, so Global Conference is coming up next week, and this episode, of course, will drop after that. Um, but where do you think Global Conference should be next year?
ooh, Hawaii.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? Oh my
That
god.
would be awesome. Okay, Hawaii would be one. Otherwise, I'd love to have him back in Phoenix. Phoenix would be great.
Okay.
It'd be great to
Yeah,
have it in Phoenix.
yeah,
It's
and show
beautiful
off your
here.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's beautiful here right now, time of year. I just looked at the weather for Kansas City. It's gonna be a little chilly.
it is. Yeah. I was hoping to not have to bring a jacket, but looks like I'll be bringing the bigger suitcase. Um, well, thank you so much for your time today, Kathy. I really
Thanks, Ash.
appreciate it, and you have so much knowledge and expertise to share. especially those tips on how to break into a market, like leaning on the residential side for those referrals and going to events, whether local or global, and your CCIM. So truly appreciate you sharing with everyone. Um, and for those who are listening, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please remember to like and share the podcast CRU with CBC Worldwide. Have a great rest of your day. And remember to not just invest in those buildings, but also invest into the community in which you live. Thank you.